Hi, I'm Hannah. Thanks for watching. Today I have a regular project updates video for you. A lot has happened in the last couple of weeks. I went on a trip with my family to visit family in Brussels, Belgium. And so I shared a video about my trip to Amsterdam and the yarn I purchased there and the shops I went to. It was lovely. So if you haven't seen that, please watch it and let me know if you've been to those shops. Next week I will drop a video about yarn shopping in Brussels and in Paris and the yarn that I got there at those shops. So definitely subscribe so you'll be notified about that one. Other things that have happened, I had a birthday, we went to the beach when we got back, and we're kind of settled back into our routine. I also wanted to say thank you. One of my recent posts on Instagram, it was Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day a few days ago, and so I posted about that and just a tiny bit of my experience and my husband's experience with recurring pregnancy loss and what you could say to someone who may be experiencing something like that. And it seemed like it really resonated with a lot of you, and so I just wanted to say thank you to people who showed kindness on the post, but also who shared their stories. I did not get to respond to all the comments because, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot to read and a lot to comment on, but I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who shared on that. But yeah, you can, I think I'll put a link. I think I can link that here as well if you're interested in what people have said to us that we have found really helpful and really supportive. Now I'm going to get started with my finished objects, and I have two. So the first one is my Gaon cardigan, and I finished it. I love it so much. I still have to cut off some of the ends. Yeah, I think, well, did I weave them all? Oh no, there's one. I wove them all in, but I just need to cut them off. So this is feels like a work of art. Also, it does need buttons, so it's not totally finished, but I was hoping on my trip to find buttons for it, and then I like completely forgot, like entirely forgot that I was gonna find buttons for this. And so I still need buttons for this before I can wear it out proudly, but I would like to wear it because it is just so beautiful. It's hard to get the whole thing on the screen. Maybe I can get a picture of myself wearing it. So I will link the project page for this one because I did modify it slightly. I knit the smallest size to have a little less ease than recommended, but from the like underarm up, I knit the third size. So this length here is actually for the third size because I have a difference in my underarms or my arm circumference versus like the ease around my chest, if that makes sense. So modified that a little bit, and then I also modified the sleeve length because my arms aren't that long, I guess, but I was knitting way past here and I realized that that was going to be very, very long on my arms, and so I just ended it and it worked out fine. I just like literally just said, okay, stopping there. Did a little bit of the ribbing and then moved on to the next one. So I have all those notes on there. I don't know if anyone would want to modify that because it was just unique to my own body, but pattern itself was very easy to understand. Like the designer even talks about if you want to modify the length of the body or the arms or anything. So all that information is in there for sure. So yes, I haven't worn it yet because again, no buttons, but it's just so much to show. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes, I don't know when I'm going to wear it next because I just need to find buttons. But my struggle was that I couldn't find any big enough. So I don't have any big enough. And then I just really need to go to like the craft store maybe and just find big buttons. But even like at the shops that I went to, I was looking a little bit and most of them just weren't quite as big as what I needed. Okay, my next finished object, I cannot find anywhere. I've already worn it a few times, and so I think it's just like in, you know, in the car somewhere, like under the seat or something like that. One last look. Yeah, I don't know where it went. I can't find it anywhere. Yeah. Okay, anyway, it's my classic ribbed hat by Purl Soho. I'm doing the knit along. I used their Cashmere Merino Bloom, which they very kindly sent to me to make the hat with, and I love it. I knit the circumference of the second to last size and the length of the third to last size. So it's a little wider and a little shorter just to fit, again, my head. I like my hats a little looser. It's pretty loose. I think I have a picture of me wearing it here. I wore it to the fair with my son a few days ago, and I loved it, and I got a lot of compliments on it. And I just, at first I was like, why did I get this color? I always knit things in like cream, beige, that kind of thing. But I really wanted something that was going to go with all of my clothes and just be like a nice warm color neutral for my closet. And I loved it. And I was so happy with it. Fit nicely. What was I wearing? Like green, army green, black, denim. I think that's like my classic. So the white went super well with it. Or the creamish went super well. So very happy with that project. I do have yarn for one more, and I think I'll gift that one. I haven't cast it on yet just because haven't cast it on yet. So those are my 2 finished objects. I don't think I have any other ones. I haven't finished anything recently. I guess. Okay, I do have 3 works in progress, and they might all be new. That's kind of crazy. So while I was on my trip, I'll talk about this in the next video because I got the yarn in Brussels. This is a spoiler. While I was on my trip, I wanted to find yarn for a test knit that I'm doing. I am testing the Cardi Jumper version 2 and the version with the stripes. So I wanted to find yarn on my trip for the sweater, just as kind of like a commemorative kind of like sweater, and I wanted to find yarn and buttons, and so I did. And it'll be my Aqusitions next week, but it's Mondim. That's the recommended yarn, and I thought I was going to like just find out totally new to me yarn and use it, but then I was like, I like the recommended yarn a lot, and they have it at these shops, and so I'm just gonna get it. And so I did. And I intended to use some navy I already had for the stripes, but then when I was working on it, I got to where the stripes were, and I didn't have the yarn, obviously, because I was still on my trip and traveling, and so I just went ahead and gonna make it without stripes, which is okay with the designer. It's not a ton of progress. I have about a month left on the test, maybe a little less. So I actually did almost all of this on the plane ride home. So we had a few things that day that we were coming home. Train ride, plane ride, another plane ride. It was quite a long day for all of us, but my son was a champion and he crushed it. I think I was like much more like stressed and nervous than he was about just making sure we were actually going to make it home that day. We just had a really big travel day, and I was nervous, like, are we gonna make our train? And then is the train gonna be delayed? And then are we gonna get to our flight? Will that one be delayed? And will we make it on our next flight? And, well, you know, all of that. It was just heightened because we were just ready to be home. And so anyway, to try and keep myself calm, I worked on this. And on the flight, this was so crazy. So I had my phone, right? And we had been up for like, it was like 18 hours at that point we had been up. So I was using my phone to navigate us. I had our tickets, I had all of that. And anyway, my phone had like 2% when we get on this last plane. That's 7 hours. And I'm like, hey honey, can I have the charger? And the ports on the plane we went on were like just regular USB ports. They were just like not the charger that I had, like not the like, you know, I don't know these things, like USB-C charger. So I couldn't charge my phone, and I was like, what am I going to do? I don't like flying. And also, yeah, I was just like done at that point of like being away, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna have to sit here for 7 hours. And I was just concerned about my own sanity at that point. And so Phil, my husband, started asking all these people on the plane, like, do you have an extra charger? Do you have an extra charger? And this one guy was like, yeah, I have an extra charger. or I have a charger, and then like he couldn't find his charger, and then he was freaking out. He's like, what am I gonna do for 7 hours? And I'm like, I know, same. And so someone like we were in the very back of the plane. Someone a few rows up was like, I have one. And it was this super long, like, you know, extra long charger. And so I plugged mine in, and then I handed it back to that guy. And then, so yeah, it worked out, and I was able to read the pattern. But I was like, no, it's not just stockinette right now. I have to know the increases. I can't memorize them. I only have 2%. So all that to say, I made some progress. And I really like this pattern. I'm super happy with it. I can't wait to complete it and do the button band. It has sort of like a boat neck, which I don't have a cardigan with that shape. So anyway, this is Undyed is the colorway. Something I never addressed on here because I was too sad about it. Someone recently sent me a message on Instagram and asked about it, and it reminded me to talk about it. So I started knitting the Cardi Jumper version 2 for the retest. So as soon as I saw that the designer was expanding her sizes, I was like, okay, I want to make this pattern because I have had my eye on it forever. So I purchased it, and I started making it. I was very excited about it, all of this, and I ran out of yarn. And it's a discontinued yarn, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And so I haven't frogged it. It's just sitting downstairs at my desk, and I'm just a little sad about it. I had the body almost finished, and then I just needed the sleeves. So I still had a lot to do. 2 sleeves is kind of a lot. I don't know how my yardage calculation was so off. I think in my head, I generally crop things, and so that takes a lot off of the recommended yardage, but I don't know how much it takes off, and I need to know that next time because I looked at it and I thought, oh yeah, that'll be good if I take off like 4 inches from the bottom length. And then I think the pattern is already kind of cropped, and so yeah, it just didn't work out, and I was sad about it, and I need to frog it and use the yarn for something else because I really do like the yarn. It's Purl Soho Buttercup Cotton, but I haven't had the heart to do it yet. So I think when I finish this, I will feel like it's time to move on and frog the other cardigan, but I just haven't yet. Okay, my next work in progress is a sample make. So I've talked about this before. I do sample making kind of on the side. It's more like half and half. And I had a video about my Motion Friend sample makes, which were adorable. And this one is for a designer. And so I don't share like my sample makes until the designer shares them, or like the yarn shop or whatever, out of respect for like the process. And so I'm looking for the ball band though. I was gonna share the yarn I'm using because I've never used it, and it's truly beautiful. I have the ball band here. I'm using Cyrano, and it's by Rerum Natura. I think I was just saying how I hadn't really used this yarn before, or like this brand of yarn, and now I'm getting to use it for a sample make, but I have not used Cyrano. It is, let's see, 100% wool. Let's see, what does it say about it? It's all in French. But I know it's a bulky weight, so it's 150 meters per 100 grams. And I'll show you the color I'm using as well. Oh, wow. It's truly beautiful. Like the sweater I'm making, gorgeous. The yarn, gorgeous. I can't wait to see it be marketed and used. I believe the pattern's coming out in December or January, and so it will be a while. But for now, this yarn, it's just like, I don't know. I don't use a lot of like bulky weight yarns. And I would use this for anything and everything if I could, but I can't, so I'm using it for sample make. But I just have the sleeves left on that, so hopefully that will be completed soon, and I can send it off and get to work on other things. The last work in progress is actually a design, and yes, it's one of mine designs. And I'll show you the yarn I'm using. This is not like I purchased the yarn. It's not like somebody gave it to me or anything, but I just kind of let my son pick yarn on our trip and like whatever he wanted to pick, and then I was gonna make a design from it. And so this is what he picked. He picked this Fonty Super Tweed. It's 95% wool, 5% mohair, machine washable, so I assume that means it's superwash. And yeah, so he picked it out. It's 100 meters per 50 grams, so here I am using bulky yarn. Again, after I said I don't really use it, but yeah, so he picked this out at Lil Weasel in Paris. And this is the swatch I did. So I swatched it around. It kind of looks like, it's very festive. So yes, so you can see the bottom is stockinette and the top has a little bit of kind of cable texture. So if you are interested in testing for me, please sign up for my newsletter. My tests recently have been filling up quickly. I don't know if this one will. It's honestly, my engagement on like Instagram and newsletter and YouTube is like very inconsistent. And so who knows if this will, but in the past I have had tests fill up just from the newsletter subscribers, and I don't have to like put a call on Instagram. So if you are interested, it's gonna be a garment. All my patterns are sized like 0 to 10 years. So I'll give like a ton more information when I make the call, but this will probably be in the next few weeks for this one. So yes, so if you're new to me as a designer, my patterns are for children 0 to 10 years. They are unisex patterns, so they're gender free, and for test knits I communicate like through Slack. Yeah, so if that sounds like you or someone you love, sign up for my newsletter and the test will go out to you first. Yeah, so I'm excited to share more about this soon. So that's all I have for finished objects, works in progress, active works in progress. We all know I have a lot of projects that are just sitting. So I do have a few acquisitions to share with you. Like I said, it was my birthday last week, and so I got a few new things. The first thing to show you is this beautiful project bag. It's from Echoview Fiber Mill. That sadly was a cooperative fiber mill in my home state where I live. We visited it. It's near Asheville, North Carolina, if you are a local friend. And yeah, sadly they had to close down, and it was sort of all of a sudden. So I purchased some things, my mom purchased some things, and I guess she had purchased this for me and kept it until now. But it's so fun to see all these different things on here. It's also good memories because I visited with my family and we had a blast, and it was just a beautiful place. It was my first time visiting like a true fiber mill, and so I will keep this with lots of love when working on projects. And I also like the blue strings. I think I might put this project in it because the blues kind of go. The second thing is another project bag. So this is a Purl Soho Baggu bag. I love Baggu bags and I love Purl Soho, so it's kind of perfect for me. I'm sure I'll put yarn in it, but part of me just wants to use this for like everyday life. But I'm just so into this color this year. I absolutely love it. My Gaon Cardigan is just about this color. This is a little brighter, but yeah, I love it. It's perfect. So thanks to my thoughtful mom for those gifts. And then my last acquisition is actually yarn. I purchased this a long time ago. Another sad thing is that when we visited that fiber mill, we also visited a yarn shop in Mars Hill, North Carolina, which is sadly closed its doors as well. They've sort of pivoted to do more of like a doing classes and like that kind of thing, but they don't have a space anymore, and they also got rid of like their inventory. And so I got this Lang Superlight Alpaca, and the color is black, and yep, do you see it? Yep, okay. And then I got it to pair with this Cascade 220, also in black. I think that's the color name. I can't imagine it would be something else besides black. Okay, it just has the number. But anyway, so I got them to hold together. And my intention was to make the Matthew pullover by Amy. Sure. And I still want to make it. That's the plan. I'm like hesitated slightly because I think this cardigan being remade in black would be like a dream. Or having like a wrap cardigan in black would be lovely. But I had intended to make remake one of my favorite ready-to-wear sweaters that's just gotten quite worn over the years. I've had it for maybe like 6 years and it's gotten quite worn, and so it has sort of like a boxier silhouette, and it has like slimmer sleeves but still like a more oversized fit up here. And so I don't know what I'm gonna do, because that was the Matthew pullover to a T and I want to make it so much, but now I'm like, should I make like something else? Because I have that ready to wear sweater. I can make a wrap cardigan, and I don't have that, but I have other yarn I want to make for wrap cardigan, but it's brown and I'm wearing a brown cardigan that I made. What do? I don't know. Anyone else have these struggles? Okay, so that is my acquisition. I'm super happy with it. I have a lot more acquisitions that I shared in my trip videos. So last week I shared Amsterdam. Next week I'll share Brussels and Paris. So I have lots of yarn to share there. Yeah, so I definitely like refilled some of the spots that I had emptied out in my yarn pantry. And that was the goal for this year, was to make sure I was clearing out enough yarn and not buying any yarn. So these are the first yarn purchases I've made of the year on my trip. And this was gifted to me for my birthday, but still. Anyway, so that felt exciting. I do feel like it's opened kind of now. I'm looking at websites, looking at yarn, like, oh, maybe I'll buy more. It is October. There's only like 2.5 months left. And so I'm kind of like almost reached the end. Maybe, you know, yarn shops are sending me like coupon codes for my birthday. I'm like, should I buy more yarn? Should I stock up? I realized throughout this process, I don't love the idea of like, for myself, stocking up, because then it's harder for me to make a decision. It's easier for me to see the pattern and then buy yarn and then make it, versus having yarn, searching for a pattern and then make it. I found that out about myself. Will that stop me from buying yarn that's on sale? Probably not. But this year I've been trying to keep track of yarns and patterns that I really want to make paired together. So when I see like yarn shops sending me a coupon code for my birthday, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back to my list, and I look at my list and see if they have any of the yarns I've written down that I want to make over the next year, or like that go with the patterns that I want to make for the next year. So we'll see if that's helpful. Oh, I also want to share what I'm wearing today. I am wearing my first cardigan, or the first cardigan, and I love it. It's by Hive Knits. I didn't make any modifications except the length on the body, but it's perfect. And I'm so happy with it. I wear this one, and this one I don't get a lot of like, oh, did you make it comments. I think because people can't tell that I've made it, which maybe is a compliment, like a really big one, because it looks like it's from the store. But yeah, I pretty much love it so much, and I wear it so much, and I want to make more. So yeah, let me know what you're making, and if you have the same difficult time making decisions like I do. But regardless, just happy to have some new yarn. I hope you have a lovely weekend knitting, and I will see you next time.